Hey folks, good afternoon. It's Tuesday, January 12th. Got to check to make sure I got the day right. January 12th. It's hard to, things just kind of get mixed up sometimes when you're trying to keep up in the midst of the chaos and forget the date. I'm sure you understand. But it's the 12th, and I wanted to give just a quick update on what's happening this week with our church family going into next week, and then also share a short devotion with you out of the book of Genesis, is what I've been reading lately in my morning devotions, my personal quiet time, and just kind of encourage you to think about who gets the credit. And so that's what I'll share in just a few minutes as we look at Genesis 41 on a devotion. But before that, just a reminder that tomorrow, Wednesday the 13th, we do not have any services here. No supper, no services. We're wanting to give everyone plenty of time. We've had some cases of COVID in the church recently, and that's obviously hit some of our leaders. And so for the sake of children's ministry and supper and everything, we're going to push that back another week. We've really just been having Sunday morning services the last couple weeks. So no supper, no services tomorrow. We hope, Lord willing, to resume those next Wednesday, which will be the 20th. And we'll keep you posted on that. But that's the plan right now, is to resume our Wednesday evening activities next Wednesday, January 20th. But of course, we're trying to just constantly keep up with what's going on in the midst of COVID. And so we'll keep you posted on that. We will only do, of course, what we have the leaders and the volunteers to do. We don't want to do anything half-heartedly. And we certainly would continue to ask that if you're sick, if you have any symptoms, obviously stay home, get well, let us know how we can serve you and walk alongside you. But just to avoid as much as possible spreading anything, we're trying to be careful. And so that's what's going on tomorrow, no services. But Thursday morning, we'll have our men's fellowship. There's just a few of us that have been gathering, but for those who want to join us, you're welcome. We have plenty of room to spread out. We can even move into the fellowship hall if we have enough people. But we meet on Thursday morning from 6 to 7. We'll have coffee and snacks here, and just a chance to hang out and visit and encourage one another. The same thing on Saturday from 8 to 9. Saturday morning from 8 to 9, men's fellowship. And so remember, this is for anyone. There's no agenda. You can come and go as you're able. Come as often or as little as you'd like, but you're welcome to bring friends, folks in the community, maybe that don't have a church. Maybe they wouldn't come on a typical Sunday or Wednesday, but they'll come and drink coffee with some guys and just visit. And so great chance to get to know people, to develop those relationships, and hopefully open a door for gospel conversations and for discipleship and encouragement as well. And so that's Tuesday and Thursdays from 6 to 7, Saturdays from 8 to 9 in the morning. Sunday, Lord willing, we hope to be on track with everything with our schedule. 9:30 family groups, 10:40 worship, and then in the evening at 6 o'clock, we've got our prayer and praise service and youth group. The Chiefs play at 2 on Sunday afternoon, so hey, perfect timing. You can come to morning family groups and worship. You can go home and watch your Chiefs play, and then you can be back for our Sunday evening prayer and praise service and youth group. Doesn't affect your Chiefs game at all. So unless it goes into overtime or double overtime, which then it might affect your evening plans. But we hope that you'll join us on Sunday. Again, we'll keep you posted. If anything changes, we will keep you posted. We had a couple weeks ago, we had to cancel our family groups, our Sunday school, because just we had some folks that couldn't be here leading the children's classes, and so we made that decision. Not a decision we typically have to make, but right now, obviously, we're shorter on leaders and volunteers. For the most part, it's because a lot of people are just staying away to be careful, and that's totally fine. And I want to clarify that in this video this afternoon. I want to clarify that we recognize people are all over the spectrum right now in the midst of COVID. And so we have folks that really since back in March and April, haven't really been coming in person. They've been watching online. They've been, even sending their tithes and offerings in the mail or through the app. They're keeping in touch, but they're not coming in person because they're being careful. They're not really going anywhere. And so if you're not going to work, you're not going to school in person, you're really being careful and just kind of staying home, then we totally get it that you're not going to come to our worship gatherings, to our ministry activities here, because you're being careful. You maybe have a loved one at home that can't take any chances. Maybe you can't take any chances with your health. Your doctor is telling you to do that. And so we get that. And so please realize that we get that. But then there's some of you who you're going to work just like normal, or maybe you're going to school in person just like normal. Maybe you're going to other social activities, you're going to sporting events. And so we recognize that obviously if you're doing those things and you're a believer in Jesus Christ, then you're not going to have any issue coming and gathering with the church on Sundays and Wednesdays. And so we want to continue to make this option available available for those who can come. We don't have any hard feelings towards those who are being careful and not coming, but we want to make this available for those who can. And we recognize that there's some folks like myself who, I'm trying to be careful. I'm wearing a mask when I'm going to public things, and when I'm going into Walmart, I'm trying to follow those guidelines and those restrictions. I wear a mask here on Sunday mornings. We don't require it, but we know that a lot of people are, and really for the sake of others. I don't wear it for myself. I wear it for the sake of others, so that others can be comfortable and recognize that, I'm trying to be cautious for their sake. But so I'm not trying to be foolish, but at the same time, I want to do this. To me, it's worth the risk, if you will, to be able to gather with my church family. And so that's a decision my family and I have made. And so you have to make that decision for your family. And just recognize we respect the freedom that we have in that right now, and that these are difficult times, they're overwhelming times, they're uncertain times. And so while we're able, and we have the volunteers and the leaders to do so, we'll continue to offer the services that we can. But again, we're continuing to talk with leadership. In fact, I had a conversation this morning, and I'm waiting to hear back from some people just on some how we need to look at our schedule in the coming weeks, and are there any adjustments we need to make. So that is always being updated through the best way to keep up with what's going on is through our My Richland app. Right below in the notes in this video, if you don't have the app yet, make sure you do, because with the app, there's notifications. If you go to the app and you hit notifications, you can see updates. If we've canceled a service, if we change something, if the schedule. You can also go on the main page in the app, and you can scroll down where it says schedule and your events, and then you can click on the schedule of events, and that has our calendar, and all of that is kept updated as often as we need to make changes. We make changes and we keep that updated, and so that's the best way to keep up with what's going on with our church family. So please have the My Richland app. Also here through Facebook, through Twitter, through Instagram, we try to, through social media, through our website, myrichland.org. All of those ways we're trying to over-communicate, if you will, to make sure that people know what's going on, and just so nobody's confused about what services we are or aren't having. So, man, I hope to see you Thursday at 6 for men's fellowship, or Saturday at 8, and then the rest of you Sunday morning at 9:30 for family groups and 10:40 for worship. Before I let you go, I just wanted to read just really one verse and encourage you this afternoon. I was reading this morning in Genesis, and I love the story of Joseph. It's such a great story, and teaches us so many principles to live by just through Joseph's life. And I love how in Genesis 41, after Joseph is brought before Pharaoh, because it's found out that, okay, this guy can interpret dreams. There's something, and nobody else could interpret these dreams that Pharaoh had, and he's concerned. And so he brings Joseph. Joseph is taken out of prison where he is because he was falsely accused and put there falsely, and after being sold into slavery by his own brothers. And so Joseph's been through all these difficult things, and yet we see that God is with Joseph, that God blessed Joseph. And all these good things were happening to Joseph. And in the midst of all the bad things, good things were happening to Joseph, because God had a plan for Joseph's life. And this was part of his plan. And so Joseph is taken out of prison. He's brought into the Pharaoh. He shaves, he cleans up. He's brought before the king of Egypt. And the king of Egypt, the Pharaoh, says, I want you to interpret these dreams for me. And I love Joseph's response, because immediately he says, I'm not able to. Now remember, he was brought to Pharaoh because it was said he can interpret dreams. This Joseph, he knows what dreams mean. But immediately Joseph says, I'm not able to. He says this to the king of Egypt, I'm not able to. Joseph answered Pharaoh, it is God who will give Pharaoh a favorable answer. Now, that is incredible humility on Joseph's part, because Joseph could have easily taken credit. The Pharaoh didn't know God. He was already told the Pharaoh that this Joseph can tell you the interpretation of the dream. So Joseph could have said, yeah, I'm somebody you probably ought to get to know. You ought to think highly of me. And he could have easily taken the credit, but immediately he didn't. He gave the credit to God. He said, God is the one who will give you an interpretation. And so that's humility. That's recognizing him recognizing his dependence on God, just as we all need. And we talked about this Sunday morning as we looked at the first part of Hebrews 12. We need to live dependently on God, knowing that anything we can do is based on His goodness, His faithfulness, His kindness to us. We need Him in our lives. But also, this is incredible faith. It's not only humility by Joseph, it's faith by Joseph, because he trusted this was before he had the interpretation. This is before he knew what the dream was. he told Pharaoh, God is the one who can give you the interpretation. And so he's trusting God to speak to him, to lead him, to give him the wisdom to be able to interpret Pharaoh's dream. And of course, if you know the rest of the story, you read on, he did indeed interpret the dream. God did give him the wisdom to give Pharaoh the words and to tell him what the dream meant. And then Pharaoh put him second in charge in the entire country, and the rest is history. The story of how Jacob, the Israelites, the sons of Jacob, the family of Jacob came to Egypt. And this is just a part of God's plan, God's big plan that started with Abraham and really started back before that, but started with Abraham into his people. So incredible humility, incredible faith. We need that. And so let's recognize our dependence on God, our need to depend on God, and as a result, trusting God, that we would trust God in all things. And that starts with the right relationship with him, turning away from our sins and trusting in Jesus' life, death, and resurrection for our salvation. But it continues every day with that daily faith and repentance, asking for his help, depending on him in faith. And so let's do that. Let's walk in humility. Let's walk in faith like Joseph did.